Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
But I live in the way of my father, at peace with the mortal world. In the years following the siege at Prejma, my father fell in love with a mortal woman, my mother.
Hey, Pint listeners, welcome to Fang February. That's right, 2026, we're talking all about vampires on the main feed. So you're going to get 4 vampire films, and if you're one of those folks, one of those Pint insiders that goes to Patreon/The Pint and pays $2.50 a month and gets a couple extra episodes every month, we're going to be talking about werewolves on that side. So that's the whole Fang thing if you didn't pick that up, but you did. You certainly did. My name is John.
Hi, I'm Stu.
Stu is with me today to discuss a vampire movie, as we mentioned. Now,
what else are you doing in Fang February? How did I draw this movie?
Because, well, in all honesty, this is the kind of movie that Lloyd would get irritated about. So here's what we're doing. We're doing 4 films, and they are this one.
Yeah.
We're doing Near Dark, which is like, Lloyd's going to give a 5 to. I'm already telling you right now. Yes,
it's
Lloyd.
Right. It's all right.
I like Near Dark quite a bit too. But Lloyd loves Near Dark. So Lloyd's in for that one for sure. We're doing From Dusk Till Dawn, which
that's great.
I absolutely love. So
Yeah.
you might get a 5 there, but I don't want to spoil it yet. And then we're going to be we're going to be continuing with Scary Larry's House of Horrors Hammer, and we're doing a Hammer horror vampire film called The Legend of the 7 Golden Vampires. So we're not doing one of the Christopher Lee Dracula films. We're doing a kind of more obscure one that was, so there's that company Shaw Brothers that was like a Hong Kong kung fu karate film magnet back in the 60s and 70s. And this is a combined movie they did together. It's like I haven't seen it yet, but from what I understand, it's a Hammer horror vampire movie and also like a kung fu movie, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I had those ones set up, and I said, I know Lloyd, if I give him this one, he's going to crab about it. And this is one that I've always wanted to watch. So I said, fuck it. It's a vampire movie. We're going to do it. So let's get into it. We're going to be talking about 1991's Subspecies.
I've never heard of this movie before.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It's a Full Moon Entertainment film. If you're not really familiar with that company and their outings, then I get it. When I was a kid in the 80s, Full Moon and the company before that, Empire, both owned by Charles Band, used to just put a ton of low budget stuff out into video stores, direct to video. This is direct to video. And I remember these from when I was a kid, but I never saw them. But I mean, they also put out stuff like, I'm sure you heard of Puppet Master and all of the
okay.
Yeah. Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Trancers. And this is combined between Empire and Full Moon. When Empire closed down, he started Full Moon. Robot Jocks, Zone Troopers. So there's some
Robot Jocks.
Yeah, that's a great fucking movie. We're doing that this year. For sure. Great movie. But yeah, so this is one that I've always wanted to talk about, or I always wanted to watch, and I figured, why don't we just throw this in at the beginning of Fang February and see if anybody hangs in after that and they get rewarded with some other stuff there.
No Fright Night, though.
We did Fright Night years ago.
Well, there's 2 Fright Nights.
Yeah, I've never seen Fright Night 2, and I've heard it's not good. And
okay, if you're doing that, there are 4 Fright Nights, but there's...
Oh, the remake.
2011, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maybe
good. It's underrated. It's underappreciated.
Maybe if we do it again next year, maybe I'll throw that in there. I know you're a big fan of that one. I saw it once. I did like that one. It's not as good as 85, but Colin Farrell's good in it, and that's
Yeah.
Anton Yelchin, right?
Yeah, Anton Yelchin is in it, and David Tennant, and Imogen Poots.
Yes. Worst name ever, Imogen Poots.
I don't care. She is ravishing in that movie. She is like, I don't typically think she's like a gorgeous actress or anything. I think she's a very talented actress, but she is so hot in Fright Night.
I don't remember her in that. The movie I remember her in actually is another Anton Yelchin movie. She's in Green Room with him.
Yes, she's in Green Room. She's in 28 Weeks Later. I know that.
Oh, she's the little girl, or she's the
She's
teenage
like a
girl.
teenager, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I forgot that she's in that. I'm not a fan of that second one. I know you don't like the third one, but yeah, I did not care for the second one. All right, let's get into it. Subspecies from Full Moon Entertainment. Another thing about Full Moon Entertainment I just want to point out is these guys were the originators of the idea of DVD extras. So when they would have when their videotapes would come out, whatever it was, Puppet Master 1, 2, 3, 94, whatever, every one of their videotapes would have at the end of the movie like these Full Moon magazines where it was like the making of the movie. And obviously you can't skip through a VHS, but they had all this stuff on there. And I was actually, when I was a kid, I was actually a teenager, a member of the Full Moon fan club, and I would get newsletters and stuff. So yeah. So Subspecies was released direct to video. So there will be no box office on this episode, on August 8th of 1991, directed by a guy named Ted Nicolau. He made Terror Vision. Do you remember that one? Larry showed that?
I did not like Terror Vision. Terror Vision was too campy. Like, I like when a bad movie is bad on its own merit, but it's trying hard to be good. Terror Vision was one of those, it was like Sharknado. It was trying to be a bad movie, and that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work when you're trying to make an intentionally bad movie. Like, if you're trying to make something so bad it's good, that doesn't work for me. I want something that earnestly is trying to be good, but ends up bad.
Yeah. I only remember that I didn't like that. I know that's one that has a huge fan base of like cult fan base, but it didn't do it for me. But he made that. He made Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys. That was another Full Moon thing where they would like combine their properties. And this is the crazy part. He made all 5 subspecies, which range between 1991 and the last one came out in 2023.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I have a list here, and the way they title these, if these were all on my DVD shelf, it would drive me crazy. So we have Subspecies as the first movie. And then Bloodstone, Subspecies 2 came out in 1993. Bloodlust, Subspecies 3, 1994. Subspecies 4, now they've switched it around. Bloodstorm comes out in 1998. Subspecies 5, now here's where they really lose me. Because 2, 3, and 4 are the numerals 2, 3, and 4. Subspecies 5, Roman numeral 5. That one's Blood Rise. That one came out in 2023. And then apparently I read that in 1997 there is a film called Vampire Journals, which is a spin-off of some kind. I'm assuming some characters from this saga end up in another movie. So this was written by Charles Band, the guy I was talking about, who is the head of Empire and Full Moon. His original idea, if you're not familiar with Empire, as we mentioned some of the other things, he was directly involved in Reanimator, Trancers, all that stuff. 2 screenplay writers, Jack Carson, who did The Berlin Conspiracy, a film called Mandroid, and a film called Robot Wars, and David Pabian, who did Dollman, which is one of the Full Moon films, and Puppet Master 2. He wrote those. So that's some of your production stuff. This was filmed in Romania, on location in Romania. So all this
location in Transylvania.
In Transylvania, yeah. But the impressive part about that is that this is the first American film to film in Romania after all of the, I guess, I don't know the history of Romania, but I believe it was a communist country. They became free, and this is the first movie that was from an American company to film there. And there's been a bunch of movies that have filmed there since, and big ones that are, more impressive than Subspecies, but Subspecies got in there first. So
did I ever tell you that I might have, you might already know this. I've only known for the last 3 years about that Transylvania is a real place. My
Oh, no.
entire life, I thought Transylvania was like Metropolis. I just thought it was a made-up place.
I knew
my
it was
wife and I
real.
were watching something and says something about Transylvania, and I said something, and my wife was like, "No, Transylvania's real." I was like, "No, it's like Krypton. It's just a made-up place. It's not real."
I'm gonna give it to you on that one. I knew it was
Okay.
a real place. I knew it was a real place, but I can see where that could have been confused as being a fictitious place. I blew someone's mind. I don't remember when it was or who it was, but I explained to somebody that a Tasmanian devil's a real animal,
Yeah.
and they did not want to believe. It was someone I worked with, and I said, "Look, they don't spin around. It's not any of that shit, but that's a real thing." And yeah, so I get it. Sometimes we just don't know these things. All right, let's talk about the cast of this film.
Shabuya roll call.
All right, so another full moon thing they used to like to do is they would take people that were genre favorites that might have starred in some of their other movies and kind of throw them in for 5 minutes of a new movie and then take them out. So like we did an episode on The Insider last year, me and Patrick Flanagan, of a film called Cellar Dweller, and it starts with Jeffrey Combs and he disappears after 5 or 6 minutes. This one has Angus Scrimm. Angus Scrimm plays King Vladimir, the king of the vampires. And I have to say this, and it's going to sound mean for me to say this, but it's fucking true. He's wearing a wig that looks like my mom's hair did. My mom had a big puffy head of hair. And I'm like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, my mom's hair was brown, but I'm like, that is my mom's hair white. Of course, Angus Scrimm, we know him from Phantasm, The Tall Man. He was in John Dies at the End, which was from the same writer-director as Phantasm. And he was on the TV show Alias. He passed away a few years ago. But yeah, he is kind of our big, I guess, genre person that shows up in the first 10 minutes of this movie, dies and disappears. Anders Hove plays Radu. Anders Hove is from Greenland. He's a Greenlandish actor, I guess. Lot of foreign credits, but some of his American stuff, Critters 4, and then a couple TV shows. The Chestnut Man, for 11 episodes. I think that was a foreign one, but he was on General Hospital for 157 episodes, which
good for him.
That's a drop in the bucket when it comes to General Hospital, but
Right.
that's a pretty good run. Now,
Does it say what era? Like what years was he on General Hospital?
I didn't look at that, but
Oh, okay.
but the next guy, Michael Watson, who plays Stefan, his brother in the film, spoiler, he was on an episode of Melrose Place. He was in a movie called Midnight Man, but I recognized him immediately from when my mother, again, talking about my mother, watched General Hospital. He was a character named Decker. He was on GH for 182 episodes in the early 90s. As soon as he walked on, I went, that's fucking Decker. And I haven't seen this dude in 38 years. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Laura Mal Tate plays Michelle. She is the kind of the focal point of the film in terms of the 3 female characters. She's the, I guess you could say, the one that we look at the most.
And she doesn't come back for the sequels, even though her character does.
I watched the trailer for the second sequel and I said, oh, they did the switcheroo. They did the switcheroo.
I liked Laura, whatever Tate, whatever her name is. I liked her in this movie, so I was sad to see that she doesn't carry on through the franchise.
Yeah, agreed. She was, she was fine in this, and she mostly did just episodic television, First and 10, Matlock, Dallas. So why they didn't bring her back, I don't know. Ivan J. Rado, not Radu, Rado plays Carl. Carl is kind of like the innkeeper that knows all about the secrets of the vampire. Puppet Master 2, Mac and Me, everybody's favorite Mac and Me, and The Wild Bunch from 1969. That's I love The Wild Bunch. I don't know who he played. I'll have to look back into that. The two more female characters that start this movie off. Irina Movilla plays Mara. She is a Belgian actress and, not Belgian. What the fuck was she? I didn't write it down. I'll look it up and get back to you on that. But, she was in a bunch of films that had a very, very, foreign names that I don't want to pronounce. The Diplomatic Siege, The Woman in the Dream, and Interior Zero are some of her low budget American, productions. I will say this right now. I don't know if you noticed this, Stu. She looks exactly like, no, she's a Romanian actress. That's what it is.
Yes. So I just looked it up. She's Romanian. Yes.
I got confused because, okay, she's Romanian, She looks exactly like Maria Bakalova, who played Borat's daughter.
Yes. Oh God, she's so pretty. I follow her on Instagram. She's funny as hell too. I love her in movies, but she's very attractive.
But do you agree that this woman looked like her? I thought
a little bit.
I saw it in her. And I think she, I don't know what she is, but she might be maybe not Belgian, but whatever she was is what I got that confused with.
She was Russian, Maria Bakalova. I thought she was just Russian, but I mean, there's so much of that area because of the Soviet Union is just considered Russia, even though it's not actually Russia. So I could be easily wrong on that.
Yeah. And then the final actress in this, Michelle McBride plays Lillian. She has very little, credits, Prey of the Chameleon and a 1989 version of The Mask of the Red Death. So that's your cast for Subspecies. So the movie starts off, Stu, in Romania, filmed in Romania, and we have 3 college friends who were history majors that are getting together. The Mara character lives in Romania and was from Romania and went to school in the States, and her 2 friends, Lillian and Michelle. Was it Michelle?
Yes.
Michelle. Lillian and Michelle come over to visit her in Romania. Michelle is kind of like the level-headed one, and Lillian, at the beginning, at the very least, is like the asshole American tourist. She's insufferable. She's kind of obnoxious, but
she's kind of an airhead. Like, Michelle is the very studious one who knows everything and does all her studying and reads her books, and Lillian's like, oh, really? And it's like, you got the same degree. How do you not know this?
Yeah.
You're doing the same thesis that she is doing.
So they've come back to not only visit Mara, but to do work for their thesis, for their, to further their degrees. And they're doing it on the lore of Romania and Transylvania and all of that stuff. The very beginning of the movie, we have Angus Scrim, King Vladimir. He's in the bowels of his castle, and he's got my mom's hair, and he's sucking on this, like, it's weird.
Yeah. Blood ice cream. That's why I just kept calling it the blood ice cream.
Yeah. The blood ice cream is the bloodstone, which is, we'll get into that a little bit later, but he's sucking on this thing. And all of a sudden, a very, very Nosferatu-y looking vampire, leather jacket, long hair, but like these incredibly long fingers with long fingernails, comes in, and they have this discussion. And the basis of the discussion is, I'm your firstborn son. You've called out for my brother, who does not deserve to take over your empire. The father basically says, hey, look, you're too aggressive. You're evil. You can't take over. So we kind of get the feeling that even though Angus Scrim's character is a vampire, he might not be a bad vampire. Maybe this is a good vampire.
He's a vampire with a heart of gold.
He's got a heart of gold. He's looking out for the folks of Transylvania, and they end up kind of getting a moment where he traps Radu, this character, in a cage from above him. And then Radu does something that's just different than anything I've ever seen in a vampire movie, Stu. I knew this was an aspect of the movie, and I will admit, I thought it was a bigger aspect of the movie. It's really not. But what does Radu do?
Radu cuts off his big giant fingers, and they land on the ground outside the cage. And is it his fingers, or is it the blood inside his fingers morphs into these, like, 1.5, 2 foot tall, like, little blood minions? And these little blood minions kind of run around and do his bidding and help him out. And they go over and scare away King Vlad and hit the little nozzle on King Vlad's chair that unleashes the cage. So yeah, these creatures are just his little minions. I actually always thought, because I knew this was a part of the thing, of the whole thing, I thought this was the subspecies. I don't think it is, because they're definitely not, like, focused on it all. They come and go here and there, but he ends up killing his father, stabbing him, running him through, and taking the bloodstone for himself, and we'll learn more about that in a minute. So the girls are set up by Carl, who is a local innkeeper, at a old fortress of some sort. And Carl explains, as they're looking around, that this is a fortress, and what had happened here was hundreds of years ago, the people of Romania were sieged upon by the Turks. Those fucking Turks, man, always fucking everybody's day up. Sieged upon by the Turks, and
Nobody ever knew how, but the Romanians managed to survive, and the Turks were all slaughtered mysteriously, and their necks and throats were ripped apart, and it became part of local lore that vampires had saved them, and there is a presence of vampires here. Also, Stu, we find out that there's somebody else staying at the fortress. Who's that?
That is Stefan, a reputed local, or I don't know if he's local, but I guess he's local, a zoologist who is studying the night creature life of Transylvania.
And in the amount of time that Stu just explained that, and Stefan meets the girls, him and Michelle form a bond that's never been seen in romance history. This is the greatest love of all time. You could take Kate and Leo and throw them off of the Titanic. You can, any other love that's ever been depicted in screen. This one happens faster and harder than any. And he kind of gives me, it's funny watching this. I felt like, and I definitely don't think what's her name, Stephanie Meyer, watched this movie before, but I felt like this is like Edward Cullen 1.0, right?
Okay,
like he's kind of like skinny, pale. He's got him and Michelle have the same haircut. That maybe is why they're into each other. But he explains to them that I'm going to be coming and going, so don't be worried. He's very gentlemanly, and they start poking Michelle like, oh, you guys like each other. They go out and they are taking pictures and they're doing other things around the area. At one point, they take a nap. Why did they take a nap in the middle of a field?
I will take a nap anywhere at any time, and I will nap for 2 hours. So after we're done recording, I'm going to take a nap before I record for my show tonight, because that's what I do. That's what you do. Whenever you're out and you're tired, you have to take a nap, you take a nap. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't judge nap takers. These girls were tired. They had to take a nap. They interviewed that gypsy lady, and they had a very big day.
Okay. All right. Fair. I mean, I napped too, but I just thought it was weird they decided to nap in the middle of this field in an area that's been reputed
in the middle
to be,
of ruins.
Right. It's reputed to be dangerous. There's a cemetery 25 feet away.
Yeah.
And they don't just nap. They all sleep for like 2 fucking hours, but they interview a gypsy woman, and the gypsy woman explains to them that, a couple nights from now, there's going to be a festival that celebrates the victory over the Turks, which is kind of also like a celebration of the vampires helping them out. That's also mentioned early in the movie when Radu kills his father. So this time period seems to be important. The gypsy lady explains that she tells us what the bloodstone is. So in lore, the bloodstone was a gift that the people of the village stole from the Vatican, or stole from the Pope at the time, which was not a device, but it's a clear stone that contains the blood of all the saints. I don't know how that works, but it has the blood of all the saints, and whoever uses it can be sated. So they give this to the vampires after the vampires have saved them from the Turks, and the vampires and the humans have this, basically like this alliance. King Vlad is a heart of gold vampire, as Stu said. We don't want to have to come out and kill more of you people. Because that's how it started. Even after they saved them, they had to start killing some of the villagers, and the villagers are like, we got to find a way to sate this guy. They give him the bloodstone. And he's like, I'm going to leave you alone forever. So King Vlad is living with these people, and it's a very peaceful life together. Now, we do learn a little bit later on. I am going to jump ahead, but I'm going to ask you, Stu, the genesis of the two brothers, because we find out Stefan is also sons with King Vlad. He finds King Vlad dead, and he realizes that Radu has come back into the picture. Who is Stefan's father, and who is who is Stefan's mother, and who is Radu's mother?
Radu's mother is a sorceress, I think he says, who enchants King Vlad, and they have evil baby Radu. And I think he says his mother, Stefan's mother, was a human, right? Right.
She was a villager that he fell in love with and had a baby with. And Radu, he said his mother desired a offspring, an unusual offspring.
Okay.
So it was a weird line, but so yeah, that's why, even though they're both vampires, Stefan looks human. There's no point in the movie actually where Stefan never grows fangs or any. Well, no, he does grow fangs.
He never goes like Buffy the Vampire Slayer vampire and like vamps out. No.
Right. Yeah. Radu is straight up a creep. There's I will say in this movie, I liked the character of Radu, you know, one way or the other. We can talk about that later, but I liked some of the things they did with him that were obviously, I don't want to say lifted, but inspired by like Nosferatu. Like there's a couple of shots where creeping on the girls and you see the shadow, like the hand shadow across the, you know, stuff like that. And
every time somebody's about to catch him, instead of seeing him fleeing, you just see his shadow withdrawing. So yeah.
Yeah, there's some good and there was no budgetary information on this movie that I could find at all, but they basically say like most of these movies were less than $1 million, like in the hundreds of thousands, if not lower. So they do a lot of very interesting things. And the makeup, like Radu, he's always like drooling blood.
Yes. Yeah, and he's very sloppy.
He's sloppy. He's got these like incredibly long, pointy fingernails. And I think it's a pretty good look. So we learn all of that. And at one point, the girls, I think it's before their nap, but we'll just go that way. The girls go to the castle and they want to get in. Lillian wants to get in, the obnoxious one. And the other girls are like, let's not fuck around and find out. And Mara, the Romanian girl, even though she's not necessarily in on all of this stuff, like she doesn't know all of the lore necessarily, she's like very much like, just let's respect this area and not do this. And Lillian's just an asshole. So she reaches her arm in and she's trying to get the door to open up. And Radu is just like creeping through the castle and he hears this. So we don't see it, but he scratches her with one of his nails. And this is going to cause a lot of issues for Lillian. Now I have a question for you, Stu, that I don't know if the movie ever explained. Maybe you picked up on it. Maybe I didn't. But is Radu a daywalker?
There's no point where the sun seems to bother him, because there's a whole scene where Stefan comes to Radu's place and he's like, I'm going to figure out where you sleep and I'm going to get you. He's like crawling up the hill, and I don't understand why he was crawling up the hill, but Radu says, oh, the sun's starting to come up. You're getting weaker. And Stefan, like he's crawling and he's clearly getting weaker and he's clearly getting tired or hurt or something by the sun. But yeah, Radu seems fine. But at the same time, he doesn't go finish off Stefan. He just leaves. So maybe he's just more immune to the sun than Stefan is. But the movie seems to imply that he's walking around in the sun a lot.
Yeah, they never say like, oh, this is a benefit of the Bloodstone. They never say, oh, because of my mother's sorcery, I was born different. So it gets a little confusing because there's a scene where he sees the girls walking to the ruins that they're going to take a picture of, and he's standing in his doorway and it's bright outside. And I'm like, maybe the shade of the doorway is, he's not blowing up because of that. But then like the next scene, he's just creeping through the moors. I'm like, and it's bright outside. They eventually run into him and run away from him. This is where they meet up with Stefan again. But Lillian has been hurt and she is bedridden now. Nobody can figure out kind of like what's wrong with her. They have a town doctor come in who speaks no English, and he basically just says she needs 24 hours of bed rest. And
there's some kind of medication, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he does give her like something. And they're kind of put out because like their whole thing is they want to desperately go to this festival the next night, but now they don't know if they can go because they both, I thought this was funny. They both say, like, Michelle's like, well, we can't go to the festival. We have to stay with Lillian. And Mara's like, well, can't we go? And she's like, no, we have to stay. And then the next scene is they're at the festival. Like they left her there. I don't know if it's because Ivan stays with her, but they both leave her after saying they can't leave her. We get some more moments where like Radu shows up at the, festival and he kills the gypsy woman that we had seen earlier in the movie. She's the one that like has been warning them about the dangers of the vampire. And, I think that's a cool scene too, because it's a very much like a Day of the Dead type festival where everybody's wearing masks and they're like these really exaggerated, like frightening Muppet masks.
Yeah.
Like big noses and shit.
Big noses and stuff. Yeah. Big eyes.
It wouldn't be cool with those masks, but she's walking around with the mask on and he just walks up on her and he kills her. And then he attacks Mara. He's wearing the mask and she sees him and he takes the mask off, and then he comes up behind her and he gets her. And then it's actually a pretty good cut because this happens at that festival where he gets Mara, and then it cuts to Michelle, right? Does Michelle, who finds, is it Michelle or Carl that finds him feeding off of Lillian? Because it's
I
like
I don't remember who finds him.
Okay, because it's an immediate cut, kind of implying he could almost be not in two places at once, but immediately. Or it was a poor edit. I don't know, but I thought it was, if it was a poor edit, it was a cool story choice because he attacks Mara, and then I think Carl goes into the room and you see him, he's been feeding off Lillian. We also have some moments between Stefan and Carl where we realize that Carl's essentially Alfred Pennyworth, right? Like he is the vampire version of Alfred Pennyworth. He is telling Stefan that like they've got to like kill Radu to finish this all off and reclaim the Bloodstone. He's big on how to kill a vampire, Stu. What are some of his methods that he wants to enact? And how do they have to end? How do you have to finally finish it off?
Well, the final finishing is very intense because you have to stab him in the heart and cut off his head and then take his heart out. And was there something about washing the heart or something? And then everybody drinks from the water that washed the heart or something. And that cures whatever. But yeah, he's got all these tools. He's got stakes made from a local oak, and he's got big pikes made from some other kind of tree. And he's got a shotgun that he has taken the iron shells out, or the iron fillings out of, and replaced with rosary beads, which I actually thought was pretty neat. Like he's trimming down these little rosary beads, and he fills the shotgun shells with rosary beads. And I was like, all right, that's like the Sam and Dean Winchester shooting ghosts with shotguns full of rock salt. So
rock salt.
Okay, I appreciate this. Yeah.
Yeah, they have this conversation where, this is what we have to do. We have to stop him. So Michelle ends up leaving Mara before Mara gets attacked at the fair or the festival. Michelle and Stefan have a pretty intense makeout session. Every time they kiss, it is not like romantic kissing. It's like, we're gonna fuck kissing.
Yes.
Their first kiss is like, I'm licking the back of your tonsils.
Their first kiss is like straight up necking.
And it's in front of people. Like they're at this festival and they're just like going at it. And he kind of puts his face in her neck and he has to like get rid of his vampire boner. So Michelle ends up leaving Mara at the festival, and because I can't remember why, but she has a feeling something's wrong with Lillian. Yeah. She gets back and she finds that Lillian has died. Her and Carl they have to immediately bury Lillian. So they do. They bury her, and Carl's like, we only have a couple ways to do this. Like, I think one of them is like to destroy her body, and she's like, I don't want to do that. Like, let's just bury her, which I find weird that Carl would go along with that because he knows like what's going to happen, but they bury her, and she has now passed. Mara has been taken. All right. So we're caught up to that point. Lillian eventually comes back, and she comes back as a undead, as a vampire. At one point earlier in the movie, Radu is taunting Stefan. He's like, I'm going to make your girlfriends my concubines. He's very much that. He's very much the Transylvania vampire. Which one do you like the most? I'll make her my favorite.
We get a moment where Carl is talking to Michelle, and he specifically says, or maybe Stefan is there or not, but somebody specifically tells Michelle, like, look, they're vampires. They can be good or evil, just like anybody else. They just have vampire morality. They can be good or evil. And then Lillian comes back and is just straight evil. And I was like, okay, apparently not. Apparently vampires are just dicks. I don't know. Like, I was just told by another character that they can be good. So why does Lillian come back and she's like evil?
I wonder if in this world, in this universe, in the subspecies universe, if who changes you affects that, because it's very important, because we'll skip ahead and it's fine, but Michelle gets bitten by Radu at the end, but she is very much like, I don't want to be like him. So she has Stefan bite her to like overwrite his bite, I think. And they're hoping, like, fingers crossed, that she's going to come out a good vampire. So maybe because Radu, who's evil, bit her, she came back as evil, or maybe it's poor writing. I don't know. I also found it funny too, though, that Michelle knows. She's smart. She knows vampires exist at this point. It has been proven to her. But when Lillian comes to the door, she's like, I've got to go help her.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not a stupid character. Like, because she just runs out.
This was literally seconds after she was just told vampires could be good. So I was okay with that. I was like, yeah, go help your friend. She's probably good. And then she's not good. So I don't know. Maybe Carl was just lying to her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Mara is in the castle. Oh, I want to jump back for a second.
Yeah.
Because I just thought about titties, and I have to talk about this for a minute.
Yeah.
So when Mara's in the castle, she's being held, she's being chained up, and she's sitting on the floor of like some castle basement. But she's wearing a ripped up, like button up shirt, but it's perfectly ripped, so both of her nipples are hanging out. I'm not complaining about that. But did you think it was a weird scene? I thought it was a weird scene when Radu was feeding off of Lillian. He's sucking on her arm, and then he bites her neck, but then he exposes her breast.
Yes.
But I thought he was going to bite the breast. He bites her neck instead. And I just thought, vampires are just like us, man.
Vampires are just like us.
They just
want to cop a feel.
He looks, he smiles. They show this like undead cretin, like be like titty. But I just thought that was funny. So we get over to Mara. She is now chained up. Eventually through plot machinations and action, which I can't necessarily 100% remember, Michelle gets taken, right? Does she get taken while she's battling Lillian, I think? But Radu takes her and puts her in the basement chained up next to Mara. They wake up. Stefan is chained up because he's been captured as well. Michelle kind of leans over to talk to Mara. Mara's like screaming and freaking out. But then she reveals it's Stu. Mara's a vampire, right?
Yes, Mara has also been turned into an evil vampire. She also does not get the benefit of vampire morality.
Yeah, so Mara and Lillian are bad vampires. Stefan is chained up. Michelle eventually manages to pull this part was such bullshit. She pulls
like
a spear off of the ground with her feet, which is fine. But then she lifts it up with her manacled hands, and the world's weakest bracket ever just comes off the wall.
Yeah, she uses this wooden stick to just pull this metal bracket out of a stone wall. And I was like, sure, let's go with that.
You know that metal bracket it was hammered in by some guy 500 years ago with a
when
force.
Things were built to last, damn it.
Exactly. She literally just pulls it out, gets up. She starts getting chased around by Mara, and Lillian comes back. She manages to get Stefan out of his chains. So now it's like, it's the Royal Rumble's happening now. Hulk Hogan comes in.
Carl was also there.
Yeah, Carl shows up. The one-man gang comes in. Ted DiBiase rolls into the ring. It's craziness here. We get a sword fight, which is pretty dope. You don't get a lot of sword fights. This is a castle, so of course there's swords on the walls. Radu and Stefan start fucking going at it, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader style. How does Mara die? I can't remember, because I know Carl comes in and he blasts. No, he kills Mara. Carl comes in. That's right. Carl comes in and he blasts Mara with the rosary beads a couple times, and she dies. He ends up tussling with Lillian, who it seems like kills him, but spoiler, he's okay. Lillian is about to get Michelle, and Stefan manages to kill Lillian by, he cuts another chain and a gigantic fucking candelabra.
Like out of the movie Clue or something.
Yeah.
It's very comedic. It's a Looney Tunes scene all of a sudden where, the big candelabra falls out of the sky because he cut a rope.
And then Michelle starts going over, and Lillian's like, Michelle, it's me. And she thinks, she starts to fall for it. And then fucking, Carl comes over with a pike and just fucking kills her. He just puts one right through her. He's like, don't listen to her. So we got the sword fight going on, Stu. Eventually, how does the sword fight end? Because Radu eventually ends up biting Michelle.
Radu disarms Stefan like twice. And the second time he is down by the fireplace and he finds like one of the spears is in the fire, and he pulls the spear out of the fire and stabs Radu with it. Because I don't remember Radu fighting Michelle. I thought that was the end of Radu whenever he gets like the flaming spear and stabs him with it, and then they cut his head off.
No, he bites Michelle at one point because she's like...
Oh yeah, he does bite Michelle at one point. Yeah, I don't remember where in the scheme of things. Like maybe when he was down before he grabbed the flaming spear.
Okay, I don't remember what happened either, but yeah. Stefan kills, quote marks, Radu. There's a scene in the sword fight that I thought was really great, where they were fighting on like this spiral stone staircase, and like something on fire gets knocked over and the staircase is on fire. I thought, this is pretty fucking badass. Like, the setting in this movie, the castle and everything looks really good. I'm assuming that they filmed
just a real castle in Romania somewhere.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive. Radu falls down, and then who chops his head off? Is it Michelle or is it Stefan?
I don't remember. I don't remember if it was Stefan or Carl or Michelle. Somebody cuts his head off with an axe. Yeah.
Chop his head off with an axe. And then she basically says to Stefan, I don't want to come back like him. And I thought this was actually a cool moment in the movie where he bites her to, I guess, like I said, kind of try to like overwrite Radu's abilities on her. But she says, am I going to be okay? And he's like, I don't know. I thought that was less of a bullshit answer than you get in a lot of movies where it's like, as long as we're together, I'll always take, he's like, I don't know. So
I don't know.
He brings her back. Yeah. Well, let's hope for the best. Let's talk to Hallmark about a whole set of cards. Hope you become a good vampire. He brings her back to his coffin and pops it open and leads her into it. And then he gets in with it and shuts it. And, they're going to live maybe happily ever after in Romania. But we pop back over and, the head of Radu, we see the little, I'm going to call them the subspecies because something's got to be the subspecies here. The little fucking minions who haven't died because he died are still there, because he didn't die. His head's alive. The eyes open. And literally the last scene is the eyes open. The two minions are there. And one of them looks at the other one like, oh shit. And then that's it until
that end of movie.
Bloodstone Subspecies
2, which from just the little snippet I read, and I didn't read like a whole plot synopsis, I just read like a little paragraph, and it was just like 2 or 3 sentences. Nothing is mentioned of Stefan. So is he maybe not in it?
Yeah, I noticed that. I watched 3/4 of the trailer. I noticed that. So Michelle's sister comes to find her, but Michelle is in it, but it's not the same actress.
Right.
And at no point is there Stefan. Radu is in it, and he looks like, actually the makeup and stuff looked better. Like it actually looked like it was maybe improved upon a little bit, but I'm probably going to end up watching it. I'm not saying I'm going 5 deep.
I logged this on Letterboxd, and I only had one other friend on Letterboxd who has seen this movie and written a review. So I went over and I liked their review, and they actually came over to my review and left a comment. They're like, are you going to watch the rest of the series? And I was like, probably not. No.
I'm not going 5 deep plus a spinoff, but yeah, I'll probably watch the next one, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's rate this fucking thing.
Are those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
All right, 0 to 5, 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever, 1/4 scale optional. First episode of All Fang February. Stu, thanks for coming on and doing the one that I'm sure the Manster would have been like, I don't want to watch that. I could be wrong. Maybe the Manster's a huge subspecies fan. I don't know. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I'm going to go first. So I am a fan of the Full Moon entertainment aesthetic and what they do generally. Not all their movies are my bag of tea. But this is one that I've always wanted to see. I feel like I could be wrong. They used to advertise in comics back in the 90s, and I feel like the poster for this one was in comics back then. So it's always been something that's been kind of there for me. I actually kind of like this movie. I think they did a lot with a little. I think that it's interesting that they were able to film in Romania and have kind of an original take on the vampire lore, where it's like, well, these vampires are non-violent vampires. I know we've seen that in the past, Angel, drinks cat's blood or whatever, from bags, and, we've seen it before, but the whole backstory of this film, where it's the idea of the vampires were kind of like save the humans from these invaders because it was their home too, and agreed to leave them alone. And then the idea of the bloodstone is very cool. Like this thing that can sate the vampires where they don't have to eat people is given to them, and they're willing to live in harmony. But you got the black sheep son, and then the good son comes back, and the rightful heir to the whole thing. The makeup and overall set dressing and everything is very good in this. The effects of the minions at the very beginning, it improves the few times you see them later. The first scene with them is fucking awful. Like when you see them walking, it's so clearly just like superimposed onto.
Yes.
And look, it's 1991. This movie was made for very little money, but
if you've seen Army of Darkness, and I know you have, I'm talking to the people out there, but if you've seen Army of Darkness, the scene where there are the little Ashes running around while Ash is in the windmill, it looks like that. It's very, very much like green screened in and everything and doesn't look great.
Yeah. The Army of Darkness one is way better because that first scene where they start to form out of his fingers and blood, and then they show them like walking around. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a rough movie because I thought they were the subspecies. I'm like, this is going to be all these guys all day long. And I'm in trouble. I'm sorry, Stu. But luckily they just kind of fade off into it. It's low budget, but I did like Radu. I thought, you know what he did? He just played a good Transylvanian vampire. Like, he's not Count Dracula. There's no elegance there. He's like a gross fucking guy. He's blood all over. There's no bits in it where he has a magic ability to look human like Stefan. He's fine with just being this creature. And like I said, there are some scenes, like there's a scene where he's walking through the halls of the armory or the fortress where they stayed. And whenever he walks, his hands are always kind of out and you see the shadows of the nails and everything. I think it's cool visually. The three female characters, their friendship was fine. I like the fact that, they set them up, they're here to study this. And, so I was fine with them. And I like Carl. I thought Carl was pretty badass. Like Carl's just this old guy that knows all about the vampires and ain't going to put up with their shit. So I'm going to give this a 3. I think this is a 3. I enjoyed it. I probably will at some point watch Subspecies 2, but the truth is there's so many episodes of the Pint where we watched a movie and I go, yeah, I'm going to continue with this. And
I'm going to go on with this. No, you don't.
I don't. So the odds of me watching Subspecies 2 are probably pretty low, but I just felt like this was a kind of good, low budget, interesting, originally plotted vampire film. It's not scary. There's no real gore in it. But it's got some moments, that, some of the Radu attacks and stuff like that and him creeping around that are visually pretty creepy. So I'll give it a 3. Stu, what do you got?
It's fine. It's better than Space Truckers. I just re-listened to our episode where we did Space Truckers and I forgot how much I hated that movie at the end where I was apologizing to Patrick, but, it's better than Space Truckers. I liked the Michelle character. I liked the actress who played her. She had a very striking look. Like she had very striking cheekbones and a jawline. And she had that boy's haircut and she was very significant looking.
I kept thinking, and I hate to sound like this because I don't think that short hair on women is unattractive. I prefer long hair. I kept thinking if this woman had long hair, like she would go from she was beautiful. She was probably like, I would say like an 8, 10 long hair, 10. You're right up there.
But she was striking looking and she was a good actress and she is tasked with carrying chunks of this movie and she does a pretty good job. I thought Radu was a pretty generic villain. It's just like he's Vampire 101 and, there's not a lot to him. But yeah, like the sloppy blood saliva he always had was going on was pretty good. And the makeup was a decent effect. The settings, like you said, were good. They filmed actually in Romania, and I'm sure they were actually in castles and fortresses for parts of this. It's going to be a forgettable movie. Like within a month, I'll have forgotten anything about this movie. I watched it earlier today, and about an hour ago before we started recording, I was like, do I remember anything about this movie? Do I remember enough to talk about Subspecies? It's January 8th. I've seen 10 movies so far this year. It is number 10 on the list. It's not great. It barely edges out The Home starring Pete Davidson, which was also not a very good movie.
I haven't seen that.
It just came out not this year, but the end of last year. It's on Shudder or something, but it's fine. Like it's not a bad watch. I'm not going to sit here and say like it hurt me to watch this movie or anything. It was better than Space Truckers. So I gave it a 2 out of 5. Like that's my below average. It's not into bad territory. Bad territory is like 1.5 for me. This is below average for me. It's watchable. It's short. Maybe I'll watch Subspecies 2 someday, but I'm not going to run into it.
Fair. Well, look.
Especially if they recast Michelle, because she was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Well, if this movie did anything for you, you know, it got you your, 10,000th Pint appearance, but it also, if this was your 10th movie, this movie unlocked your Letterboxd stats for 2026, right? Isn't that your 10th viewing?
It's that you have to watch at least 10?
10
I was in no danger of not watching 10 movies, but yeah, I'm 8 days in and I've now seen 10 movies, so my stats will be unlocked.
Stats are unlocked. All right. Stu, this is February. What do you have coming up on the website, on the podcast? I know you never remember, but like, are there any new article series?
No, but this month, it being February, when this episode comes out, this month has a Friday the 13th, and so will next month, because February and March always match up like that, because February has 28 days. So I will have a Friday the 13th article this month, which is going to be, I've started it. I haven't started writing it yet, but I have like the graphics and everything. The graphics. What am I making, a video game? I have the article images and everything. It's going to be about my feelings on 2020's horror so far. So that is going to be coming out on Friday the 13th in February.
All right. Well, give them the website in case they don't know.
The website is swoproductions.com. And while these are a little bit in the past, you can dig into January. Well, I will have 6 articles specifically on the 10 worst movies of 2025, my 30 favorite movies of 2025, and then my top 20 movies that I watched for the first time in 2025. So I've got, they're all in breakdowns of 10. So there's 6 articles right there. And John will be disappointed to see that 28 years later made my worst movies of 2025.
I read either the article or you posted it somewhere else.
Okay.
I already saw it, and there was at least 2 that I was like, I knew 28 years later was going to be on there, but there was something else. I was like, oh shit, he didn't like that. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, really? Because I didn't think, with the exception of 28 years later and maybe The Surfer, I didn't think there was anything on there that people would argue about. It's stuff like I Know What You Did Last Summer, the remake, and The Woman in the Yard. It was a bunch of bad movies.
Okay. I didn't hate the I Know What You Did Last Summer movie, but I also didn't love it. So that wasn't a deal breaker for me on your article, but
okay.
All right. So SWO Productions, go there, check out the podcast. You know, Stu, come back here for All Fang February, where we'll be talking about vampires all this month. And if you're an insider or you want to be an insider, Patreon/The Pint, and go over and hear some episodes about werewolves. And the ones we'll be doing over there are Silver Bullet, the Stephen King film starring Corey Haim, and Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I never seen it. I picked that solely on the title because that's just a badass title.
How many howlings are there?
I think like 5.
Okay.
I think they're up there with Subspecies. You have a whole weekend of Subspecies and howling films. Yeah. So The Pint, a pop culture podcast. Find us on Instagram at The Pint Pop. You can find us on every single podcatcher out there. It's The Pint, a pop culture podcast. And we have a YouTube channel. Same thing. Just type that in, subscribe. You can watch all of our episodes. If you don't know this, all the episodes, when I publish them, also come out on YouTube automatically. So if you're the kind of person that you don't necessarily like to put headphones on or aren't in your car a lot, throw it on your TV when you're, I don't know, crocheting or whatever the fuck it is you do, and you'll have a good time with it. So until next time, see ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!